Just give me a second. I'm just sharing my screen.
Good morning, everyone. This is Pawan Kumar, partner at F50 Elevate. I welcome Keith Teare, our next speaker. He is going to talk about future of work. Keith does not need any introduction, but still, I'll spend 2 minutes introducing Keith. Let me be selfish by starting with Keith is the head of advisory board of F50 Elevate, the accelerator we run out of Bay Area. He advises us, he mentors us, he coaches us. He is there with us all the time, getting us on the right path and giving the right advice. Keith is also the founding investor in quite a few unicorns, TechCrunch, RealNames, and he also founded EasyNet. The most interesting thing with Keith is, when he talks, it is completely different from what we get to hear. It's very futuristic, something we would see unfolding in the near term. And also, Keith is on advisory of quite a few companies. The most interesting thing which Keith started very recently is that was the week webcast, which happens every week. I'm a big fan of the webcast. It's a very lively, very crisp, precise, everything summarized in half an hour with a lot of insights, information. I think all of you should go to that website, sign up, and enjoy this weekly dose of knowledge and great insights into the tech space, which is happening across the world. So, with that, I let Keith start his
Thank
address.
you. Thank you, Pavan. But after listening to Bill, I think I'm only the second most interesting today, at least. Um, so uh, I was asked to speak about work and our future. And so I've called this Humanity the Next Step, just because I think there's some very big developments happening that we need to understand as we plot the path for our startups. So I'm going to cover work trends, how COVID has accelerated some of those trends, the role of software in making it possible, what the likely next steps are, and I'm going to give you an example of a company that is exploiting these trends. We may not have time for questions. We'll see. So work trends. Firstly, macro trends. It's important to remember that COVID didn't begin most of these trends. Most of these trends were locked in and have been locked in for a long time. The first is the decline of manufacturing employment. Now, that doesn't mean the decline of manufacturing. It means the rise of robotic production lines and the end of people, in large numbers at least, being required. The second is the rise of services, which is a global phenomenon where human beings are more and more employed around the periphery of stuff to provide services. The rise of remote working isn't new. As we see here from Forrester, there were 1.25 billion knowledge workers or information workers in 2018. That's a lot of people. So, and knowledge workers tend not to be sitting at a desk in an office, a lot of the time at least. We're seeing the automation of everything, and I really mean everything. Uber drivers might not be the only impacted party by automation, although self-driving cars and trucks are clearly going to have an impact. But even jobs like programming, we're seeing the rise of no-code or low-code software. We're seeing computers that can write code. So automation is going to impact everything. Knowledge work, intense knowledge work that involves analysis of numbers is going to be automated by machine learning and deep learning. So software is going to replace labor and leisure time is rising. All of that predates COVID. Now, I've got two examples of COVID accelerants, one from Gartner and one from Forbes. Gartner makes the point that remote working is going to accelerate, that employee monitoring checking whether you're actually doing anything is going to rise as people are no longer in offices. That contractors are going to replace full-time employees. 32% of organizations are replacing full-time employees with contingent workers to save money. On the other side, there's going to be more employee care, because if you want to retain employees, you're going to have to, they could work anywhere now. So you better have a package that makes them want to work for you. So employee care for those who stay in jobs is going to go up. Workflows through remote teams are going to need new and different software support than the centralized teams needed. We're going to have to decide whether to humanize or dehumanize. That is to say, do we go on the side of employee care with workflow support and humanize through contact and understanding people's needs? For example, my wife's company, every 2 Mondays, they get a mental health day where they don't have to work. That's new. That's brand new. Transparency and communication, resilience, geographical diversity, picking up on a theme that Pavan started with about F50, is going to become way more normal, because it won't matter where you are. It'll only matter what you do and how you do it. That's Gartner. Forbes Technology Council looked at this a little bit differently. By the way, in the right there, Microsoft is forecasting a hybrid norm of work in Asia, meaning you won't have a desk in an office anymore, that's yours. So we're going to get on-demand offices. As we get on-demand offices and remote work, security changes. So VPNs and security detection software, cloud APIs, remote learning for your job, stipends for training, new HR systems and practices, how you onboard somebody, how they feel part of the company, and residential broadband. All of those things can expect transformation. So one of the big takeaways from all of that is that software, which was already eating the world, is going to eat a lot more of the world than it did before, and faster. On the left here, you've got a company which has built software so that you can have employee recognition at an all-hands meeting at the end of the week, which used to take place physically. Who would have thought a company could build that feature and make a business out of it? But now they can. Monday, up in the top right, is a project organizer for teams. It's fairly basic software, the nature of which has been around for decades, but it's being reinvented for this new era. And of course, Zoom there in the bottom right. So the BBC did a survey, and in the top left here, it figured out that there's been a 63% increase in working from home during the pandemic, and that most people believe that there will be some permanent impact of that, as was said earlier on. Dropbox has taken the approach of transforming its workplaces into what it calls collaborative spaces. We work like collaborative spaces. In other words, it knows people aren't coming back to work permanently, but it knows that there will be occasions when they need to be in the office, and it wants to change the office to reflect that new purpose, the new purpose of probably a much smaller office space than it had before. On the right here, you've got Microsoft announcing that employees will be able to work from home permanently, and Twitter saying the same thing, but using the word forever. And between these two, you've got either a hybrid office or the end of the office, or something in between. Nobody's saying the office is going to remain unchanged. And if they are, they're probably a very old-fashioned company that isn't going to do well as we transition to this future. So what this does is it creates massive new opportunities. And to the point that Bill made earlier, venture capitalists are not looking for just passion and vision or even big markets. What they're looking for is waves that drive change and founders who understand how to surf those waves in a timely manner to create big companies. And we are now at the beginning of a massive tsunami-like wave. The past is not returning. The future is inevitable. So I want to give you an example of one of my portfolio companies, Chargify. Before coronavirus, Chargify was focused on bringing wireless charging to desks in offices, hotels, cafes, and such, so that you could do touchless charging of your phone in a shared space. With the onset of COVID, it's transformed its entire business in about 3 months to be much better, more relevant, with larger customers and faster growth. And I want to show you how it did that. This is one of its. So that's Chargify.
The workplace has changed forever. And through smart wireless charging, Chargify provides safe, touchless experiences across workspaces, where the smartphone is used like a passport to access and interact with spaces like desks and rooms. Employees can easily identify clean and available spaces thanks to our wireless charging spots with colored light rings. It works like a simple traffic light system, where green means clean and available. And in one touchless action, they can book and check into a desk simply by placing their phone to charge on a Chargify spot. Our solution also enables touchless check-in to available meeting rooms, instantly launching video conferencing in one seamless movement. No more cables or touching shared equipment, but instead, giving employees a quicker start to their meetings. And the confidence that the space is clean and ready for use. Chargify can help space planners optimize the use of spaces. Hyperlocal usage and occupancy data provides insights for smarter decisions on improving the use of space and safety. Unused spaces, such as no-shows, can be identified in real time to free up rooms and desks, increasing availability. And with cloud management of the fully secure network of charging spots, you get maximum uptime for complete peace of mind. Give your employees confidence with touchless, seamless experiences across your workplace. Chargify, powering amazing spaces.
So there you go. That's basically a company that I wouldn't say pivoted, but quickly consumed what was happening and got ahead of it and learned how to surf that wave. And now they're looking at trillions of dollars of real estate globally that during the next 6 to 12 months has to transform itself into different spaces with different needs. And it's all they can do to keep their pipeline managed. The demand is so strong. And I think that is an archetypal startup that is backable. And I'll finish there.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks a lot. Quite insightful. I mean, quite a few changes have happened over the past 9 months. I think in one of our monthly webinars, we heard that telemedicine has gone up to 80+% during this pandemic, which is a huge transformation, huge shift. Right, things are just getting disrupted continuously, which is good. And though pandemic is bad for the humanity in general, but these situations are also driving the change in all those areas which have been like stuck and which never thought of bringing innovation.